Happy Halloween, everybody! Get down to the pumpkin farm and fuck this shit, man. I can't do this. Happy Halloween, everybody! Let's get this party started. I'm about to put some sparkling spirits into this pumpkin. Gonna light the candles and start watching some horror movies. So let's get this party started. Happy Halloween! So welcome back to another Heavymetalrille video. And this one, well, it's a little bit late. In fact, there's a lot of stuff here that I should have shown a very long time ago on my YouTube channel. But you know, those videos and those things didn't happen. So here we are now, catching up, showing all the stuff from some previous years. I don't know how long it goes back, but it goes back to last year and some years before that. So this is, I just want to catch up and talk about a couple of movies, what I think about them, then show some of the stuff that I picked up earlier, you know, just to catch up and just to get to the newer stuff. You know, I need to get some old stuff out of the way. I just feel I have to talk about them. And there's movies that I've seen that everybody's been talking about that I couldn't give my opinion on, or you know, or just talk about my experiences of watching it and what I think about it. So I just wanna, you know, wanna go back and look at the stuff that I picked up and watched. Yeah, you know. So this is a whole bunch of stuff that I hadn't had time to talk about, or that I couldn't update for various reasons, which there are many reasons, good and bad, but mostly bad, unfortunately. But still, we're here now, and I'm going to catch up a little bit. We're going to talk about some movies that I watched these last couple of years, and you know, some of my pickups and my Halloween horror haul from 2019, last year, that I never showed. I didn't do a Halloween video, so we're going to do that now. First up, finally got the Stanley Kubrick collection. Finally got that one. $9. $9. I got it for $9. I was really looking forward to get this one. It's one of my favorite movie makers and directors. Absolutely, he's made some of my favorite movies. A Clockwork Orange is one of my absolute favorites of all time. I love that movie. That movie means so much to me. I also like 2001: Space Odyssey, of course, but I don't put it on the pedestal like some other people do. But I do like it. I do love it. But I like other movies even more. I mean, yeah. So I picked this up for $9 finally. I had like a, you know, I had like a code and such. I could get it a little bit cheaper. But it has some of his most important movies: Lolita, 2001: Space Odyssey, Clockwork Orange, Barry Lyndon, The Shining, of course, Full Metal Jacket, Eyes Wide Shut. And so many of these movies have shaped my life, and I had such good, important experience from watching them. All from A Clockwork Orange to The Shining and Full Metal Jacket. Some very important movies in my life. So I'm very happy with this box set. It comes with, you know, all of them loose. And of course, some of the movies he has made are missing. They're not in here, but the most important ones are. Dr. Strangelove is of course not in here, but still, so happy to have this. Was going to upgrade my Clint Eastwood collection because I have these on DVD, and I need to save space. I picked this up because, yeah, actually because I need to save space. But I still haven't got rid of those DVDs. Only one I cleaned out. But I love Clint Eastwood. Great actor, great director. Actually, another one of my favorite directors. If you look at his work and his choices as a director, you will see that he is actually brilliant. You need to really analyze and look at it, and you see, like, he knows what he's doing. He's talented. Yeah, so I needed to pick this one up. I don't remember what I paid for it, but it was pretty cheap actually. So, but Clint Eastwood collection. This is one of my new favorite movies of all time. The Shape of Water. I picked this up a long time ago now. I don't remember how long, but it was a long time, a couple of years back. But this blew my mind. This is his. Quite frankly, I think this is his best movie, and that's saying a lot, because some of his movies are some of my favorites of all time. So Guillermo del Toro is one of my favorite directors. And The Shape of Water, I love this movie. This is so, it has a mix of oh my, it's like a beautiful fairy tale mixed with horror, mixed with drama, mixed with fantasy. It has it all. It's so well done. The characters are so good. The music is so good. There's so much to talk about this movie about. But I love the imagery. I love the photography. I love the directing. I love everything about it. The Shape of Water is a beautiful, wonderful movie. You need to watch it. This is one of those movies you need to watch before you die, I think. But I love this movie. This is a new favorite of mine. The Shape of Water. Beautiful, wonderful masterpiece. I love this. And this is one movie I picked up a couple of years ago when it got released. This is also a very important movie. Border. Swedish movie based on a story by John Ajvide Lindqvist, who actually wrote the Let the Right One In story, which they did another Swedish movie of. So finally, after all this time, they did a new one. Not by the same director, but another director. But this was really good. I very much appreciate and love what this movie is doing. The imagery and the subtext and the messages that it has. It has a lot. It has a lot going for it, and it also touches on some dark subjects, something that I also relate to. So this was a very, very good surprise. Very nice surprise. Very, very good. Good acting, good directing, good imagery. Dark sometimes. Really good. I recommend this one. This time around, I was happy with the Swedish effort, if you would like to call it that. The Swedish effort. For so many times they put out these political correct crap movies. They're only designed to push a certain agenda, and they seem to do that a lot. But this one, there's a message, an important message, some truth. But I don't feel like this is a political movie, or like it is one of those run-of-the-mill Swedish movie that they like to promote. But this is a really important one. Border, I like this a lot. Mother, I just want to say what I thought about it. I loved it. I thought it was good. Many layers to it, many things you could get out from it, of what it means and doesn't mean. But this was a good one. I enjoyed it very much. I liked it. There's a lot to say about it. Good acting, good directing, good imagery, good symbolism, good metaphors and such. Really good movie, really good surprise. Yeah, I liked it. That's what I wanted to say. That I enjoyed Mother. I liked Mother. I'm happy to have it in my collection. And I know a lot of people are split about it, and some people don't understand it. But there was a whole lot in this movie that there's a whole lot of there's a whole lot of things that you can take away from it, that you can see in it, that it stands for, that it represents. Not only Mother Earth and this whole thing. I mean, you can bend it and twist it in one direction or the other, and you can get something else out of it. And that's what's so wonderful about it. But I loved it, and there's a lot of good things in it. Midsummer, I very much enjoyed it, but it got me depressed because I'm a Swede. I celebrate Midsummer, and it's Midsummer, Midsummer's Eve, Midsommarafton, and Midsummer, and those sort of things has been a very important part of my life. But I just well, there's a lot to say about it. Old Swedish traditions aren't as important anymore in Sweden. There's a lot of places that have changed, and they made it into something political. So they, you know, as time goes by, people shit and piss on Swedish traditions, and it's sad to see. And here, what makes me depressed about this one, even though I like it very much. I think it's a very well-made movie, and there's a lot of good things in it. But what depresses me is that it's actually more fantasy than based on reality, on the old pagan reality of Midsummer. This is actually absolutely a pure fantasy, absolutely a pure fictional thing. It doesn't look like that in Sweden. It doesn't. People don't celebrate like that. Even though you take the heathen aspects in it, you can put the Viking stuff in it. It wouldn't be like that. This is a pure fantasy, a fantasy that I enjoy and that I like. But it also makes me depressed. I'm sort of split on it, even though that I like it, because I do like it. But it's a pure fantasy, pure fiction, in any shape and form. But Ari Aster did a great job with this. This is another one of well done movies, and in some people's eyes, it's a masterpiece. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is. It is sort of a it's a modern day horror classic. Just like some of the old black and white pictures, or like one movie that I have in mind is The City of the Dead, also called Horror Tale. That movie is in my mind because in my mind it's a horror classic, and it has some of the same feel. This woman is sent to an old village to study witchcraft, or the history of witchcraft that has taken place in that area, and she got sent there by her professor, and it's almost in the same direction here. It's pretty much, they are students. They're there to, some of them are there to study ancient tradition and all of that stuff. It's kind of similar actually. And I like that. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, The City of the Dead, and there are reflections and echoes of that in this, and also like The Wicker Man, of course, is in it, and that is a horror classic for sure. But in any case, I do like it, and actually points of it I love, but there are other points that it makes me a little bit depressed, and I can explain it a little bit further, but it will take a long time. So understand that since I'm a Swede, and since some of these things are very important to me, I'm sort of split on it. And I also can see the Carl, let's see what his name was, Carl Larsson, I think his name is, a famous artist from Sweden that did a lot of pagan ritual paintings and such. And I very, very much feel like it's a strong inspiration from Carl Larsson. I think it was Carl Larsson his name was. I could be wrong, but he did a lot of Christmas and ancient Swedish pagan ritual drawings and such. And I feel like he's definitely gotten some inspiration from his drawings and such. All of those pagan feast things and the halls and all of that feels like it's taken from one of his paintings or drawings. So Midsummer. And here I love this even more. This is one of my new favorite horror movies. Hereditary. This is a masterpiece. I love this. This really gets under your skin. It's actually scary and actually creepy. And it has a lot of layers to it. It's because there are many hidden things that you can see. People that vanishes into the dark and shadows. And there are so many little details that you can notice when you watch this movie. It's a real journey. It's a real experience, and I love it. And I love it for it, because you can experience in so many different ways when you watch it. He's really trying to make something different here, and he succeeded. So I love this movie, Hereditary. I'm one of those who loves it. So let's see here. Suspiria, the Suspiria remake, but when it's called a remake, the reimagining, the retelling, the inspired by, I would actually say, because it really takes a whole nother direction than the original, and I appreciate that a lot, and I respect it for it. The director did the right choice, a great choice, and I actually ended up enjoying this more than I thought. At the beginning, I thought it was getting to a too political direction, but it broke it, and I understood the whole movie more when it did it. It was important to have that grimy old Iron Curtain feel to it. But I like this. This was actually a good movie. You know, it doesn't spit on the original. It doesn't take from it. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't spit on it. It doesn't disrespect it. This is its own movie. You know, I think people shouldn't be so harsh on it. I think people should give it a try. And watch the whole movie before you decide, because that's what I had to do. I had to watch the whole thing before I decided what I really thought about it. But in the end, it was a good movie. I thought so. And I didn't have any problem with too many things in it, actually. I thought it was a good new take on the Suspiria idea. Yeah. And yeah, this was good. This was good. But not at all as the Dario Argento classic original, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, hands down. This is not one of my favorite movies, but I thought it was good. So let's move on here. Picked up Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Swedish Blu-ray 40 years anniversary edition. Never opened it, but had all intention to. I bought this many years ago, many years ago, but a couple of years ago. I don't know, 4, 3. It was more than a couple. But I never opened it. But I intend to. I might rewatch it soon, this week or something like that. I don't know. But it Texas Chainsaw Massacre picked up a nice Swedish edition, very, very good. Yeah, packed with material and extra materials and such. So this is great to have. I think I believe I paid $5 for it, so it was a steal. Yeah. Disappointed in this one. The new Leatherface, the new take on the original story of Leatherface. No, this was a disappointment. Not terrible, but not really good either. It's a mediocre movie with interesting parts in it, interesting things that could have led somewhere, but ultimately, no, it didn't go there. It didn't go where I wanted it to, or where I needed it to. So, well, I wish it was different. I wish it did something else than it did. But, you know, if you're interested in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, if you find it cheap, pick it up. But, you know, don't expect anything from it. It has interesting moments, but the whole thing isn't, you know, it's not a success. It's mediocre. Sad. I was a little bit disappointed in this one. There's a lot of things that don't hold up, and you know, things that don't lead anywhere. You know, it feels, you know, parts of it are well done and such. It just feels unnecessary. It feels sort of aimless, directionless. You know, what's the point with it? You do it, but what are you really saying here? I mean, where does it lead? No, it's totally unnecessary. Watched this in the theater. I worked at the movie theater when this movie was on. You know, I was looking forward to it, but I didn't have the highest of expectation. Even though I had a somewhat good time at the theater, I was also disappointed in this one. There was certainly, this movie doesn't hold up, and it's not that great. It's okay. It's an okay Halloween movie, but there are certainly some things that you need to point out in this movie that doesn't hold up. It wasn't very violent at all, and the kills weren't that creative. They really, like, they tried their tricks to fool you that you saw more than you did. They tried to make you feel that it was more brutal than it was, but it wasn't. And there were some weird character things in this, and some weird choices with the editing. Yeah, I mean, overall, like, above mediocre movie perhaps, but there are some of the older, sequels that are much better than this one. Actually, much better. It was an alright movie. I love the music by John Carpenter. The new Imagine music parts, composed musical scores are very good. The soundtrack is awesome. The re-recorded stuff is awesome. They did a great job with the soundtrack. The movie looks alright and such, but there's some weird things in it. So, some character stuff and some things with the story that just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up at all. You know, and it really bothered me. But it was alright. I'm happy to see a new Halloween movie at least. So, yeah, it is what it is. This was a good one, like a fairy tale story. All of these I picked up several years ago, but I'm just catching up with you guys. So, you know, Halloween is coming up, and, you know, I want to get some stuff out of the way and move on to other videos. But The Wildling, a good, like, sort of, I don't know if you could call it a werewolf movie, but it's sort of a werewolf movie, but it's sort of a fantasy creature werewolf called the Wildling. But this is a good fairy tale thing. A little dark horror fairy tale. I recommend this. This was a good time. I like the imagery. I like it. It was a good little movie. Enjoyable. Very enjoyable. The dark, it was alright as well. I enjoyed it. Certainly doesn't hold up the whole way. But it was good. I thought it was good. The dark. Yeah. This girl becomes a ghoul and she runs across a little kid in the woods that has been kidnapped by this guy, and they sort of become friends. And she sort of, I think she's sort of struggling between her old human self and the ghoul that she has become. And it deals with the subject of hate, I believe. Hate and you know, bad deeds that live on. Yeah. The echoes of bad deeds, I would say. But the dark. Okay, let's move on here. The next one we have here is The Hole in the Ground. And this was an alright movie. Yeah. British, I believe. Or at least they talk a lot of British English in it. So, but yeah. This woman moves in a new house together with her son, and things start to happen. And in the woods there's this big hole, and yeah. And yeah, this is a good movie. I enjoyed it. I watched this back to back with other movies. I think I watched this at the same time as I watched The Dark and The Wildling. Yeah. Or was it the next movie that I'm going to say? But this was all right. I liked the feel of it. I liked the thing. This is called sort of a changeling story. She suspects that her son has been, you know, her son is not her son. You know. And there's this crazy woman that goes around saying it as well, that lives in another, you know, another house close to her neighbor. But they're still living out in the nowhere, you know. This is out in the forest areas of this, yeah, of this town or whatever you want to call it. I don't know where it is, but The Hole in the Ground, perfectly fine movie, perfectly alright. I enjoyed it. Another one that I enjoyed this too. I like evil, bad children movies. Something with children and such. You know, when they are abducted and come back strange, or suddenly their children are started acting very weird, you know, and they do things they never would have done before, and you know, things like that. The Prodigy is such a movie. So all of a sudden, their son, or maybe he has always acted crazy. Yeah. There's something weird with their son, and it has not been so since his birth. There's something wrong with him. They don't know what, but there's something wrong. He's not like other children, and at the first, you know, he's extremely gifted. He has high IQ and such, and they put him in special classes and such. And yeah, and after that, you know, things start happening, and yeah, it's a really good movie. I like this. Really good. It's enjoyable. It's absolutely something that I would recommend. I liked it, you know, I liked it. The Prodigy, yeah, good one. I'm not gonna spoil it more than that. The Insidious movie, I like the Insidious movie. Like I said before, I need to say it again. I had this more than a couple of years. I'm just catching up, telling you what I thought about some of the movies and just showing the pickups that I did way back, stuff that I never had time to update. But the Insidious movies, I love each and every one of them. I enjoyed every one of them. And I enjoyed this too. This was good. Absolutely not bad. This was all right. You know, it was all right. Good ideas in it, and it's all right. You know, didn't blow my mind or anything. Absolutely not. But it's a totally fine little horror evening treat that you can watch. You shouldn't have too much of an expectation on it. But if you enjoyed like movies like Sinister and the other Insidious movies, you're going to enjoy this. I liked it. I thought it was good. It's not winning any awards, but it was good. A Quiet Place, yeah. I saw this in the theater, I believe, as well. And yeah. Another one, I actually enjoyed it, and I didn't have much problem with the CGI. I mean, a little bit. It was... Of course, it's always better to have real creatures and such. But the story and the acting and the ideas... That's what got me. It was really, this is a good movie. I mean, really good ideas, really good things, good choices, good directing, good direction. But yeah, I liked it. Besides the CGI things, and at the same time, I didn't think they were that bad. You know, I really didn't. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. The Strangers, Pray at Night. I haven't opened this one yet. I haven't watched it. But I picked this up years ago and didn't have time for it. And that's what happens when, you know, you collect and you buy a lot of stuff and you don't have the time to watch it. You don't have time for anything. You know, you have time for work and all of those other things you need to do. But, you know, so that's another one I haven't opened. So I don't know. I hope it is at least, you know, at least half as good as the first one. Then I probably will enjoy it, but I don't know. The Strangers, Pray at Night. Let's see here. Patient Zero, another one I haven't opened. Picked it up many years ago. It could have been 3 years ago actually, but I never got to watch it. The same thing with that one. Upgrade. Heard many good things about this one from YouTubers and such that I know. I don't know when I picked this up, but it's probably the same, like 3 years ago or something like that. Yeah, Upgrade. I picked up this one last year, I think, for a good price. I think I paid like $5 or $6 for it. The House That Jack Built. And I was very, very much looking forward to this one. I bought it because I had all intentions to watch it when I got it, but I didn't. You know, I had probably my plate filled with a lot of other stuff, which these last couple of years have been rather plenty of stuff filling up my plate. The House That Jack Built, the Lars von Trier controversial movie. Many people have hated up on this and, you know, spilled their hates and all that on it, projected their bullshit on it. I think I will enjoy this. This will probably be pretty gruesome, and I've seen some scenes from it and I enjoyed it, but it was pretty brutal. He doesn't, you know, draw any lines. He kills a lot of people, young and old and all of that. But The House That Jack Built, looking forward to watching this. Yeah. Thoroughbreds, I actually picked this up right after, or it was right before, that someone else on YouTube recommended it to me. But I haven't opened it or watched it yet. So Thoroughbreds, is this a Canadian movie, I believe? I don't know, but I haven't watched this one yet. But Thoroughbreds, I had it for a long time. Belko, I watched this a couple of years ago. But the Belko Experiment, I enjoyed it. It was good. Good fun movie. Yeah. The Office space meets Battle Royale, it says, and it's pretty accurate. They get stuck in this office building and they have to fight it out. Yeah. You recognize the story because you heard it sometimes before. There are other movies that and things that has explored that subject matter. Buildings closing down and the people inside getting killed or have to kill each other. You know, but you can do so much with it, so it's always interesting. The Belko Experiment, I liked it. I thought it was good. High Rise, another one that's pretty similar, actually. All caught in this big high-rise building, and you know, but it's Ben Wheatley. And I love Ben Wheatley, but I still haven't watched this. I was going to watch this at the same time that I watched the Belko Experiment, but as you see, I haven't. So I will get to it someday. I hope it's good. It seems promising. This was a little bit of a disappointment. There are good things in it and good ideas, but if you watch the stuff when they talk about what they were going to do and how they were going to do it, it sounded more interesting than what they actually did with it. I don't know what Adam Wingard was thinking when he did this, but maybe he did too much drug or had his mind some other place. But this wasn't really that great. Mediocre. No, below mediocrity. There were some good ideas. Let me just say what they should have done. They should have started this movie where it ended. When they went into this witch's, and I'm going to spoil it a little bit for people that haven't watched it, but when they come to this witch's cabin, and they enter the cabin, it should have started there, and then moved on. You know, they shouldn't have done these other things that were just not only a bad repetition of the first movie, but drawn out and boring characters and all of the stuff that they planned out with the cameras that they were using were like didn't match, didn't work well. Didn't work well at all. So this was a failure, and I would actually, what I would recommend, I would recommend you to play the Blair Witch game instead. Buy it on your Xbox or your PlayStation 4. Play the Blair Witch game. That is a much better Blair Witch continuation, or a Blair Witch sequel, side story, whatever you would call it, instead of this. This had some interesting thing. I liked when it came to the witch's cabin and the things that happened there. Some good ideas, the tunnels and such, but beyond that, no. Beyond that, it was a failure. But I do wish that they revisit Blair Witch again, because there are more things that they can do with it. Absolutely. But they just have to do it the right way. And they can't be cowards about it. And they can't look too much on the old movie, because I think people have passed that. They don't expect it to be like the first Blair Witch, because it never can be. It can never be what the first Blair Witch movie was. So scrap that thing. Stop thinking like that. That's not the way you should think about it. Okay? But there is more to explore here in the mythology and the world of Blair Witch. That much I can say. Ghost Stories. I watched this. Oh, you get them. Ghost Stories. I watched this last year. Anthology movie, British. Good. I liked it. I enjoyed it. It could have been better, but ultimately I pretty much enjoyed it. Yeah, good little anthology horror treat. Yeah. Then we see 2 shark movies that I haven't had time to watch: Cage Dive and The Meg. So I haven't had time for those. And I've been sitting on these for years. Yeah. So let's move on here. This is one I have watched, a Swedish series called Jordskott. So this was actually good, like a dark thriller horror. Yeah, but it's not too scary and such, but it has you know, fairy tale horror imagery. Folklore, you know, but it's good. It's a good series. If you can catch this on Netflix, I believe they have it on Netflix. At least they have had it on Netflix. But if you can watch it on Netflix, watch it. Or if you can catch up and buy it on a cheap Blu-ray anywhere. Sweden has a lot of cheap Blu-rays of Jordskott, the series. There are 2 seasons of this one. I picked up the other one as well. But I was so afraid of watching it, because I heard some of the stuff that I do, some of my work for a certain project that I'm working on. Someone told me, oh, that reminds me of the Swedish series Jordskott, and then that really like made me wary and worried about that some of the designs that I'm working on and have been working on for you know, well over a decade, if not 2. No, not 2, but a long time, that it would be like in here, sort of, but it isn't. So I'm fine. There's sort of something that are reminiscent of what I'm working with, but it's not like that. But this is a good series. You know, deals with a lot of old Swedish beliefs and folkish traditions. You know, we have sort of a troll thing, so you know, stuff like that. And this story is about children that goes missing. And the police and the trying to find out where the children has gone, and what is this deal with this forest and this town and whatever. It's a good story, good enjoyable story, a mystery. Yeah, that's enough about that. Castle Rock, picked this up a long time ago. I enjoyed it. Has its flaws. I think season 2 is going to be much better, but I love Stephen King. It's one of my favorite creators of all time. I love his book. I'm a big fan. And I love Stephen King movies and Stephen King series. And this sort of take his fictional town, Castle Rock, that is in a lot of his stories actually, and they draw out and they make a whole new thing out of it. And I enjoyed it. But in this first season, there's certainly some flaws, even though it's enjoyable in the end. But it's, for some people, I think they will think it's slow at times, and you know. But I enjoy it, and that slow thing, it's supposed to be like that. Well, anyway, Castle Rock, I think the second season is going to be a lot better. I'm looking forward to watching that one. Let's move on here. Walking Dead Season 8. Haven't had time to watch this, and I don't remember. I picked this up last year, I believe, in the beginning of last year, or what was it? I picked it up for a pretty good deal. Haven't watched this because I haven't even finished watching Season 7 yet, and I haven't picked up Season 9. Yeah. Preacher. I love it. Great series. I already watched it, that's why I haven't opened it. So I watched this when it was on, but I watched it on digital. But I love this, I had to buy it, and it was a good deal on the Blu-ray. I'm definitely going to watch this soon, because I love this story and I love this series. Love the comics, I love the comics. Get damn it. Really hard doing this on the knees. Oh, get damn it. And then I forget that I actually hurt my knees, so I can't really do this. Leftovers, another one that I enjoyed. This was, I enjoy it. Like half of the population vanishes, and the other half are left and dealing with the, you know, the things, the consequences of people just vanishing, and you get no closure. You don't have a corpse. You don't have. They just vanish. You have all of your relatives, your wife, your children gone in an instant. But the question is, who are the leftovers? They are the leftovers. But on the other question, a philosophical thing. Are their children and wives and, you know, their husbands and daughters, are they the one that disappeared, or are they the ones that disappeared? You know, who of them really disappeared? I haven't seen season 3, so I don't know. But what if, this is my theory, what if reality split in 2 different realities, and the other people lived in the other reality and the other ones lived in the other reality? So you have 2 realities in which they go on with their lives, but one of the people in their life, or several, are missing. Yeah, that's my own philosophical take on it, that could have happened. But I haven't seen anything that points in that direction, but that's just my idea. So, but I enjoy this series. I love the idea of it. I love this whole thing. It's a drama, horror thing of losing your close ones and being trapped in this world that suddenly feels so empty, you know. And there's a lot of issues and new things coming, and, you know, things happening. I think we sort of are in that sort of world now. There's a lot of things happening, and after all these things have played itself out, the world is going to be changed forever, and there are going to be new things that are going to be presented and come from it, new problems. And that's pretty much what this series deals with. So let's move on here. I love Roman Polanski. He's one of my favorite directors of all time. Big influence on me. And I love Chinatown. It's a good one. Jack Nicholson, Faye Dunaway. Really good one. Really good, like, crime noir thriller movie. Good one. Really good. One of my old favorites. Big Trouble in Little China. This might not be the best Blu-ray release, but it's good enough. You know, I would prefer the Arrow release, perhaps, but this is all right. I picked this up quite some time, a little upgrade. I don't remember the price I paid, but $5 probably. Deliverance, classic. Haven't opened it yet. Picked up many years ago. This was actually quite some time. Could be 4 years ago, but yeah. Another one I haven't had time to watch, but Deliverance is a cult classic. Yeah. The Lost Boys, the same thing here. Old favorite of mine from the 80s that I grew up watching. You know, I remember when it came out in the movie theater and the posters were everywhere, and, you know, I watched it back then. So The Lost Boys, still have to upgrade, so I upgraded that one. Goonies as well, upgraded that one, old favorite. Oh man, this brings me back in time to my old self back in the 80s when things were good and the future was bright. Scrooged. Picked that one up like 3 years, was it 3 years ago? Upgraded because we were going to watch it at Christmas, but yeah, that didn't happen. Same with this one, Trading Places, an old favorite of course. Cheap upgrade. Coming to America, the same here. And I picked this up as well for $2. I got it for $2. A great deal on a Michael Keaton movie called The Founder. Yeah, a story about the takeover of the McDonald's franchise. Yeah, $2 for that one. I love Michael Keaton. So, but I haven't time to watch it. I watched parts of it actually online, but I haven't watched the whole movie. But I can do so whenever I like. So yeah, that's it for that little section. Let's move on to the next. Okay, the weirdest thing just happened. I went to grab my edition of Thriller out of my bookcase, out of my shelf, and the case just it just broke in my hands. It just turned into dust. I mean, the plastic just broke apart in my hand. I just grabbed it. I didn't even use any force or anything, and then I noticed it like moving inwards. I heard that the plastic started to crack, and what is up here? And then I touched it some more, and then it started to crumble and fall apart in my hand. So this has never happened before with any other DVD case I had. But look, it's so brittle and just broke apart on its own. Yeah, it just. But I didn't use any force and such, and it just broke apart. Just started breaking apart, and I was just, look, I don't have to do really much of anything, and it just, it's what's up here. I'm not really using much force either, so the plastic has started to degrade and compose. I mean, it's not a musician or anything. That's not what I mean. But it started to decompose and break down. It started to break down. So it's very weird. I haven't had any other case where this has happened, and this is the original case that came with the movie. I have the sticker on top here, which I was going to save and put on another case, but forget about that now. But it just, this is weird. I never had this happen with anything. This is this is so weird. But anyway, so I need to exchange that case for a new case. Incredible. Very weird. But that's that. Case is just suddenly breaking down. Maybe there's a new plastic eating bug or something, or maybe it's, I don't know. Very weird. Very weird. Well, let's hope it doesn't happen with any more cases. We don't want any more cases with cases breaking apart.